Okay, we should be in the presentation. Cool.
Good.
Awesome. Yes. So this is the IT presentation for the chamber. We're going to be walking you through how to do a Zoom call with an owl today. My name is Kenney Newville. I'm with Modern Litho.
I'm Natalie Newville at the library.
And this is actually, in fact, Chamber Social Media Forum, also known as Happy Hour in the community. We like to keep things light. We are not very, structured. We go on little rants like I'm doing right now, mostly me, and then Natalie whips us right back into form. We'll go ahead and start off by doing just a quick go around the room, say your name, where you work, and we'll do an icebreaker today. I'm gonna let Natalie decide.
Favorite fast food restaurant.
Favorite fast food restaurant. Let's go with I'll go first. So Kenney Newville again with my litho. And favorite fast food restaurant in town. I have to put the caveat there. Honestly,
probably. I don't think it has to be in town. I think it's just your favorite.
Well, no. Let's not even get started with the Whataburger versus In-N-Out conversation. Let's just go hashtag born in Los Angeles, so it's definitely In-N-Out. But let's go with Culver's. I really like Culver's, especially when they have their Wisconsin buttery. If you couldn't tell, I like that. It's cool. So go ahead.
My favorite is Sonic. Best drinks.
And never mind our bag of Jimmy John's. You don't see that. It's not a thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Emily from All Seasons Roofing, intern. I'll have to say Culver's as well. Awesome.
I'm Gordon Halper with All Seasons Roofing. I work here in Jeff City, but I live in Washington, Missouri, so I really can't comment on any fast food restaurants here.
Okay. Well, since you're not from here, then what's the favorite just in
You
general?
had mentioned Culver's. I would have to say that's probably the one on my list if I eat fast food,
All right. Well, if you need someone away out of town,
which we have.
perfect.
Emilio Juarez with men's professional cleaning, and I have to diverge from Culver's. It's Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah.
It's good.
That's a good.
That's my favorite too. You took it from me. Actually, Timmy with the chamber and my all-time favorite, hands down, Chick-fil-A. But if I can't have Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell's high up on my list too.
So on a Sunday, you're going to the Bell.
Chick-fil-A's close, yeah.
I'm Virginia Steiger with Cross Builders, and I have to say that I like Panera, and they make it sound like it's not a fast food place, but it is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
My name is Sierra Ferguson. I work at Animal Medical Center of Jefferson City. And I have to say, I don't know, I think Popeyes.
Oh, yeah. So funny story. I don't know that I've ever eaten Popeyes in the United States, but when Kenney and I lived in South Korea, it was one of the only American restaurants, and we ate there all the time when we lived in South Korea.
Let's just say it was on our rotation.
Ray Brown Chamber, and I'm gonna say Sonic.
Sonic is-
It's so good.
It's underrated because we're in Missouri, so I mean it's everywhere.
Okay, so for the people on Zoom, Andrea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Andrea Holloway. I'm with Council for Drug-Free Youth, and I don't eat a lot of fast food, but I would say if I had to eat fast food, it would probably be Taco Bell.
Awesome. Anne?
Hi, I'm Ann McSwain. I would say Taco Bell.
Nice. And who are you with, Anne?
I'm with Lincoln University.
Awesome. Okay, and Dwayne? Or Shelley? I don't know if we can hear you yet, Shelley. Okay. Okay, so I think.
We can give Gary a moment.
Oh, Gary, sorry, Gary. I looked right past you.
I mean, everyone knows who he is, but we don't know his favorite fast food joint, so.
That happens a
We
lot.
say-
People
We didn't say quick food joint, Gary.
Yeah, no quick.
We said fast food, not quick food.
It's actually Wendy's.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I like their prices.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that segue, because it would have been pretty ironic if we had this whole presentation on Wendy's social media
Yeah.
and not one person said Wendy's.
Okay, well, so I don't know, do we wanna do the thing first, or do we wanna do it at the end?
I think we should do it now because it might convince people, it might give someone a
Okay.
reason to consider their choice
So,
if we were to go
for
ahead.
those of you here versus the ones who decided to stay home, you're missing out. The chamber got us Frosties. So we get to eat Wendy's Frosties while we talk about Wendy's. And we'll do is we'll get them and we'll all come up here while we have them in this thing and take a picture, because then we'll tweet it at Wendy's and hopefully they will like us and not roast us.
No, people want to be roasted by Wendy's, and we'll get into that. I mean, like, it's become a cultural phenomenon. I mean, it's a rite of passage, really. Like, are you really on social media if you haven't been roasted by Wendy's?
True,
So,
true.
these Frosties will calm our burns.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
think they're gonna bring them in here. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
So, all of you who didn't come, shut up.
And while we're waiting for Frosties to be delivered to those who decided to come, I see that we had Donna join. So Donna, we were talking about name, where you work, and your favorite fast food restaurant.
Oh, okay. I'm Anna Stone. I'm with the Jefferson City Area Board of Realtors. And my favorite fast food restaurant is probably Taco Bell.
Okay, we had a lot of Taco Bell. Okay, so everyone bring your Frosty and let's come up here around the screen and we'll take a picture. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry for those of you who dip your French fries in Frosties. We don't have French fries. I guess I need that. All right, everyone line up to the left of me.
To the left.
To my left. I couldn't put you in the box, so. All right. Let's make sure we get the Wendy's. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Is everybody in the picture?
Yeah.
Good. All right. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
So good.
I hope that worked.
Okay, you want to-
There you go. I took 2.
Did you get it going? So fun. So fun. I love it.
Well, this is a first, really. We used to have donuts.
That was the joke. Was it at the chamber coffee? We made a joke about how we should get Frosties since we used to get donuts.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
So,
If we go back to the morning one, we'll be done.
well, we might. We'll see. We'll keep people guessing. Maybe we'll do it dinner. All right. So what can you learn from Wendy's social media strategy? It's funny. I told a coworker that we were going to be presenting on this topic this week. And she looked at me and she goes, "You know your audience, right?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, it's local and small businesses. How are they going to be able to learn anything from Wendy's? And that's no, she's not on there. Cassandra's not on there. I'll tell her about it later that I called her out. I'm sure this is being recorded. So you know, the quick answer to that question in my mind after I thought about it was your local employer probably won't allow you to learn from Wendy's. A lot of the things that we have to show you can be shocking. That's a joke. So national roast. Remember we talked about Wendy's is become well, first of all, let me just step back. I've spoken about Wendy's for 7.5 years of doing this presentation for the chamber. We've never done a case study on them, but we've always talked about how, you know, they really embody that fiery redheadedness of their mascot and character. So much so that when a national roast day started trending, I mean, Wendy's was like the #1 person. And you go on, even brands, Mike's Hard Lemonade would go on and be like, "Roast me, Wendy," to which they responded, "Still the worst tasting yellow liquid." Okay, so like I said, your employer isn't gonna let you learn anything else from Wendy, so that's over. Do you have any questions, anything at all? I think one of the takeaways, and these are no particular order, quite frankly, is, and we've talked about this, quite frankly, here, everything that we're talking about today, spoiler alert, we've talked about. So it's really more of a hammer it home scenario than groundbreaking, revolutionary new strategy that I'll tell you the rest of after you pay $49.95. don't be afraid to shift your budget to digital marketing. Again, we still have this mentality among some brands, some businesses, that social media is something that you play on. It's something that you give to your niece because she gets it. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, a lot of the people that think like that, their nieces are now like 29 and they're working for IT firms and tech giants across the country, and they're no longer available to volunteer for your organization to run your Facebook platform. So don't be afraid to shift your budget to paying for digital marketing. So obviously, you're probably not capable of affording a Rick and Morty crossover with your brand, but if you were, obviously cross-brand promotion is a fantastic way to spend a little bit of money. Let's scale that down a little bit, okay? Because again, maybe you are. I shouldn't assume things. Maybe you could partner with, I don't know, Tesla in your business or something. That would be cool. But another way you could do this is by partnering with local brands, which allows you to together raise your followers and raise the brand recognition in the community, because you're crossing over with this brand, and you've got some followers that are in the middle, sure, but you're gonna be reaching a wider audience.
And we've talked about it too with like influencers. Don't be afraid to pay influencers to help you on digital marketing. Don't be afraid to purchase ads. You know, a lot of times a lot of people think of social media as that free advertising. You could get so much more reach and return on your investment by just putting a little bit of money behind it.
Yeah, and really, if you think about it, there really is no free advertising. I mean, really, there really isn't. Somebody's paying for it with some way. It's happening. So crossovers, you know, again, it's not just a brand, but it doesn't also have to be a large brand, it can be local brands. So also, don't be afraid to pay to shift budget to digital marketing by doing something like this craziness.
Okay, so hang on, because I don't know that you know this part necessarily. I knew it when I started digging into it. Before April 5th of 2017, Wendy's ran their social media like the rest of us run our social media. They had layers of approval. They did things that, you know, they didn't want to rock the boat. And this tweet is the tweet that took Wendy's into this whole other thing. So this Carter Wilkerson, who I'm sure in 2017 probably also was not verified. He probably was not verified until this happened.
And also the profile pictures, you'll notice that they're going to be changing throughout the presentation as well. Because if you screenshot a tweet from 2017 today, it's still going to show obviously on Twitter their new profile. So I'm just telling you, Carter Wilkinson did not have a blue check, and that was not his picture. It was like a black and white picture of him standing in the woods. So anyways, just putting that.
So this is when this tweet took off, and Wendy's realized, okay, we're gonna do things differently.
Oh, I'm still on my Frosty break though.
So obviously with this
guy giving me a shut up.
So this is kind of the first time, like I said, this is when they started shifting their digital marketing strategy. But additionally, you know, they sat here, they didn't have a lot of traction on Twitter at this point in time. They didn't have a lot of interaction. So somebody just decided, we're gonna say 18 million. This guy's not gonna get it. And then it took off. And you know that they were like, oh crap, like we're gonna have to honor this. Like,
yeah,
this is the thing.
Many other blue check marks, celebrities, other brands joined in, started retweeting. Because here's the thing: if you put something like this out there, now 18 million retweets on it is unfathomably large. Okay, it's insurmountable. Spoiler alert. But everyone loves a good challenge, and everyone loves to see another brand eat their words. And so a bunch of people joined in. Carter Wilkerson did not get to 18 million retweets, but he did break the previous world record of retweets owned by Ellen DeGeneres. And I'm a history graduate, I don't remember that number, but it was big. And so when that happened, they still awarded him all nuggets for a year, and then also donated $100,000 to an organization of his choice. So again, hashtag nuggets for Carter was something that started trending because people were just riding this boat, right? So don't be afraid to give your followers nuggets for you. I mean, seriously.
How many tweets did he get, or retweets?
Like I said, I do not remember the number. Yeah.
It was a lot. I mean, it's still, even today, it is the most retweeted tweeted tweet of all time.
Yeah.
Like, no one's broken.
And so in other words, what they were good sports, right? So, 18 million was never gonna happen, but they realized that, hey, this campaign that he started certainly is worthy of some recognition. So they wanted it anyways. So be a good sport about it, right? That cost them money. They didn't just give, when they gave him nugs for a year, that's part of their social media budget. It really is. So anyways, so don't be afraid to put money into your campaign. But you also need to identify your voice. This is another thing that we talk about quite a bit. If you take a look at Wendy's right now, we like our tweets the way we like our fries. Hot, crispy, and better than anyone expects from a fast food restaurant. So obviously they tell you right there what you're getting. Except for there's some debate about the hotness and crispiness of their fries. But their tweets are usually hot and crispy. And they're also very self-aware. They know who they are, right? So what their trend tends to be, towards the engager, the engagement experience, right? And it also trends towards humor, making people chuckle, either because it's funny or because the burn was so good that it just kind of hurts.
And what they've done with their team is, their team is not huge, but they've had their team go in and study all of their social media. They work with their stores and their food developers, all of that. Their social media team is very ingrained in the rest of the company. And so that way their voice all sounds the same, which I appreciate, because it annoys me with other brands when they say something and then they hashtag Natalie or dash Kenney, or so they're saying who wrote that comment or who wrote that post. I hate that. I don't want to hear from your people. I want to hear from your brand. And so they all have studied the brand voice. They know the brand voice. And so therefore they all can speak as the brand and it's not confusing.
There are times where that's appropriate. For example, if you've got something big and there needs to be a message from your CEO, your president, your head of HR or something, there will be times when, and you'll know them, when it's required that there be a name stamp. But 99% of your stuff, it's from your brand. Your brand is a person. At least it's a positive thing if it's viewed as such. So identifying voice. Humor. All right, so at Wendy's, can you give me relationship advice? Wendy's, you're asking a fast food Twitter, if you're asking a fast food Twitter, this relationship might be. So again, there's Wendy's. That's it. That's the tweet. Did it sell a cheeseburger? Probably. But because they have built the foundation of that being their voice.
Also note, there's no image with it. There's no punctuation.
No.
I
even tripped up reading it because it's not
So Wendy's is not which this won't work for everyone. I'm a public library. If I don't have correct punctuation, people destroy me on the internet. So it works for them, but so just kind of know what are the lines you can push.
Yeah, and that's just to reiterate for the final time, and I won't say it again. I mean, again, after 7 years of saying this, while I say enjoy Wendy's for social media for a good time, I am not telling you to do this. Remember, your local employer will not want you to tweet like this. But what I'm showing you is they've identified their voice and they're sticking to it, and that's key. So identify your voice and stick to it. Monitor and respond to your comments. If you're going to be on social media, it's not about the impressions, it's about the engagement. Impressions probably will be better served somewhere else, but engagement can't be better served anywhere else unless you've got someone in your physical building doing business. So Wendy's puts out morning win, $5 off breakfast and Grubhub. Get it. I don't know. Verizon, Cat, or what? Joke's on you, I'm having McDonald's, Wendy's. Sounds like a joke's on you, to be honest, right? So this is not the first burn of McDonald's, it won't be the last. They know who they are, they know who their competition is, and they know their space on Twitter, and they're going to stick right there.
But they do a really good job of always monitoring and responding to their comments. If someone comments, they're typically responding.
Yeah, because again, it's about that engagement. Engagement is two ways. We need every Baconator we got. So Wendy's tweets, how many Baconators would a Baconator, Baconator? We need every Baconator we got. Wendy's, very true. Spanish, they respond. Wendy's, sometimes. It's true, they don't respond to every tweet because Wendy's is super, super popular. Although, according to a poll that was recently conducted by another account on Twitter around June 11th of this year, Skittles apparently has taken the prize as that followership's favorite channel. I have not looked into Skittles yet, but you know, there's always time in the future. Anyways, Wendy's is being very hyper-realistic here. They're being quippy, right? No capitalization, no punctuation, not a full sentence sometimes. It's dismissive, right?
Well, and you'll notice on the content that they created over here, they do have punctuation, they do have the correct capitalization, etc. It's more when they're responding to people that they're just like, meh.
You're going to see throughout this presentation, you can see 3 distinct types of posts that Wendy's does. The first one is their posts, and as Natalie just said, you know, they include, you know, punctuation, capitalization. They're not complete sentences, but it's more akin to a text message any one of us would send on a regular basis. And then there's the responses, which is again just short, quippy, quick. You know, they don't worry about punctuation. They just, you know, do the thing. And then the third one we'll talk about at the very end. Monitor and respond to your comments again. If you reply, I will buy the whole Wendy's menu right now. Wendy's, prove it. This guy posts a picture of a trash can. Here's your proof. To which Wendy's responds, thanks for sharing your baby pictures. Hillary responds to George's defense, why are y'all like this? Dead emoji. Wendy's, we try to keep it friendly, but we aren't here to get trashed by someone. So again, humor is good. Thanks for sharing your baby pictures. Obviously takes off quite a bit, you know, compared to the original, you know, tweet. But they responded to their acts. They responded to their comments. Monitor your mentions. So not only, you know, people commenting on your posts, but when people are mentioning your brand. So Brooklyn here says, Wendy's, I see that McDonald's is coming out with spicy nuggets. What are your feelings? Wendy's must have scraped up all of BK's leftovers and slapped a big price tag on it. So now not only are we trashing McDonald's, but we're also reaching out to the Burger King and getting them involved too.
Well, and because in 2017, when all of this started, Wendy's was like, I don't remember the number, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that, as far as like top fast food chains or.
I think Burger King was #1 at the time.
So now Wendy's is #3.
At least the Whopper was.
And they almost exclusively credit it to their social media team. Like, so I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the person in 2017 in a boardroom that suggested firing their social person is now probably fired.
Yeah.
Because but Wendy's let this happen. They allow success to happen. Doesn't mean you should allow everything. Monitor your mentions. At Wendy's, my friends like Wendy's, but I don't. What do I tell them? Wendy's, apologize for being wrong. Is there any reason at all for them to go and respond to this guy? Is that guy gonna go buy a burger? I don't know, maybe after that. I'm gonna tell you, if I was that guy's friend, I'd be like, oh, we're going to Wendy's for lunch now. And you gotta follow it up with like a picture or something, you know? This is what you're offering to your followers on social media. Quality engagement.
And the thing to remember is like, social media is social. Like, yes, it is a tool for all of us to be able to use to build our businesses and reach more people. But ultimately, if it's not fun, people aren't going to be coming to your page anyway. And it doesn't matter how much you're putting out, no one's seeing it. So it's important to remember that social is going to be social.
Either that or you gotta have some like screaming discounts or some amazingly like inspirational posts. Because generally, if you want to know what people engage with the most on social media, there's one way to do it very well. Look at your wall. What are your friends and followers engaging with? And you know what? Here's what's happening today. At least when I go into Facebook and I open it up right now and I start scrolling. You're gonna see humor, you're gonna see inspiration, and you're gonna see screaming deals, because that's what people really interact with on social media. I'm not saying that there aren't other avenues that you could pursue that would get good results. I'm saying that those are the three that stand out immediately from a brand.
And even then, screaming deals only go so far.
It really,
Because eventually, I, like, personally, I'm like, I just get annoyed. I'm like, I'm not buying what you're selling today. I don't want to see that. So,
yeah, Southwest looking at you, don't need $49 phones anymore. Can't afford to get there. Or can't afford it when I get there. I can afford to get there, that's it. All right. Mentions again, Dunkin'. Now, this is key. This is Dunkin', who had apparently a person standing outside, listen to the life-size donut, you don't have to settle for spicy nuggets, hashtag Dunkin' spicy side. Dunkin' tweets, here's some advice about spice. It's always better on a donut, like the spicy ghost pepper donut, hashtag Dunkin' spicy side. Let's go here first, Dunkin'. Dunkin' clearly is trying to take a page out of Wendy's book, Dunkin's spicy side, right? We're talking about the ultimate brand roasting machine, Wendy's, and they've got them right in their sights. Not only are they talking about, spicy nuggets, which is something that Wendy's apparently has become passionate for, but they're also talking about roasting people here. They're trying to roast people here. Well, the problem is when you do something like this, you best come prepared, because Wendy's is always prepared. Stick to pushing the food that's so good, you took it out of your name. My grandma has more heat in her roasts. Love it. We're gonna follow this up with LOL, hope they'll still take your return at Spirit Halloween after the stink of this tweet gets on the costume.
the only way that could have been better is if they would have had Spirit Halloween.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
that's the only way that could have been elevated. But
Yes, love it.
it's so funny to me with that too, because like that's such an easy thing, and Dunkin' got so much crap when they took, it's not Dunkin' Donuts anymore, it's just Dunkin'. And so it's just like poking it where it already hurts.
Yeah. So like I said, if you're gonna do something like this, come prepared. That's the takeaway from this slide.
Now, at the same time, Dunkin' probably got exactly what they wanted, because all these people now know about their spicy donuts. Like, they got elevated onto Wendy's platform.
That's the thing. Come prepared. But it doesn't mean your brand's gonna die. It's actually better. What did I tell you about before? Partnering with brands to reach their followers that you're not currently reaching. Dunkin' just did that. As a matter of fact, I kind of wonder sometimes if some of these interactions like this are kind of more behind the scenes than any of us care to want to think about.
Yeah.
But that's what we do here, is we explore these things and we philosophize about them. I bet anything that was an email before it was a tweet.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense, right? Dunkin' gets to explore Wendy's followers. Wendy's gets to do a sick burn. Everyone wins. Plus, you can do donuts for breakfast and Wendy's for lunch. All right, this person at Wendy's, weird flex, but I like it. So for those of you who can't really tell, it took me a minute. There's a Wendy's food truck. Gary, Wendy's is getting into the food truck territory. There's a Wendy's food truck parked in front of the Burger King drive-thru. Wendy's, well, no one else was using the drive-thru. So good. It's so good. And again, guys, like this is not. There are 8,227 likes on this tweet. They did not sell 8,227 Frosties, fries, burgers from this tweet. This is about brand recognition. It's about mind share, and it's about engagement, okay? They are selling food. Like Natalie said, they moved up in like America's favorite fast food rankings because of this campaign. So, which has become now their brand, okay?
100%.
Because if you have a good campaign, it's a good thing. You don't just say, oh, that was a good run. What's the next thing? You say, how do we incorporate this campaign into every day? All right, prioritize customer interactions. Again.
So Andrea said, do these suggestions only pertain to Twitter, or you're referring to all social media platforms? I noticed these are all examples from Twitter. So Wendy's, almost like they are on other social media things. They are, Twitter is their bread and butter. So that's why all of these examples are for Twitter, but a lot of what we're talking about with like, you know, looking at mentions, monitoring mentions, working with other brands, you can use those on any social media platform. I personally don't recommend that anyone in this room really spend a lot of time on Twitter because it takes so much time to reach anywhere. So while yes, these examples are Twitter, you can still think about them for Facebook, Instagram, wherever, whatever social media platform you're on.
If you think about like the comments on the tweets, the replies on tweets, like a comment section on Facebook, and you stop and consider what that actually looks like on your device, whatever you're using, they're different, right? They are different. And the way that they send that, the way that the platforms share those responses is also different. So if we're taking a look at the Wendy's specific interactions, like Natalie said, they're Twitter, but the broad theme is definitely something you can use elsewhere. So I think there's at least one other, but we'll see. I don't remember exactly. So all right, so this person, real chonkity donkey, tweets an image that says, number 1, get burned by Wendy's. Number 2, nothing else, just get burned by Wendy's. And he tweets, please, Wendy's, this list is horrible. Get some real goals. Hi, I hope that helps. And then they respond, thank you, I can now die in peace. So
Wendy's strategy for their staff is like customer interactions on social media is number 1. So that business has identified that goal as being their number 1 goal. And so that's why you see so much focus on all of this. Now, a way to kind of like the library, our focus is almost always on, like, we want people to sign up for library cards, use the library. Like, that is our ultimate goal. So everything we do is trying to get people to consider the library. So you just have to think about with your business, what is your number 1 goal for social media and how do you get there?
yeah, a lot of Natalie's content revolves around, you know, jokes about, you know, I could go to work today, or I can also stay home and finish this book. Okay, that's not about getting a library card, but it is about reading, and you read books that you get with your library card. So there it is. It's that simple. You just have to be able to tie it back in a logical straight line. If you're going like this, kind of like I do when I talk, it's not as effective in a tweet or a post. You want to be able to draw a straight line to, if this is my goal, this is the straight line to what I just did. And that's what Wendy's is doing. They are prioritizing customer engagement, interactions, whatever you want to call it. And they're doing that. I mean, that's what they do. Does it work for you? Not exactly this, maybe, but prioritizing customer interactions absolutely will work for you. I mean, I think it's important that you give your customers what they want. That's why we're all in business ultimately, right? Is to provide a want or a need. That's how we all work. And apparently people on Twitter need to be burned. If at Wendy's replies to this tweet, I'll buy everyone who likes it a Baconator. So they retweeted it. They didn't respond to it, they retweeted it, and they said, prove it. Now, why would they retweet? Because then it goes to all their followers. And everyone on the internet goes on there and goes, you know. So then we have another blue check mark who replies, I'm late to the party because I missed the free deliciousness. Wendy's, they don't seem to have listed a time frame.
And there were some other tweets later on, and they're like, hey dude, like, where's our Baconator? Yeah, people are like, dude, come on.
Yeah, and as you know, someone once tweeted Wendy's and said, you know, if I can get, you know, how many retweets does it take to get free nuggets for a year? And Wendy said, you know, this, and so my point is, like, people are always trying to like poke them and see what they can do and how far it'll tumble, and it gets pretty fun. Trust your social media manager. So someone responded to Wendy's who clearly was probably busy burning someone. Who's running this savage page? Wendy's, 3 dogs in a trench coat pretending to be human.
So what's funny with this is one of the articles we read, I think Forbes did like an article on this that was interesting. So they have like a social media team of 5, and there's no like checks and balances, like they don't have to get stuff approved. They go through this training, they all know what the voice is and the tone is. They work really closely with like the people who develop the different like foods that they're gonna do, that kind of stuff. And they said in there, they were like, you know, sometimes we miss the mark. Like there's a fine line between being like snarky and funny and being a total jerk. Like So they're like, sometimes we don't get it right, but most of the time we do. And we have discovered that it's better to trust our staff, trust our managers, and make sure that they just keep going with all of it.
It's funny, but like I would say, I'm gonna have to put a caveat on this, up until recently, I'd say for the majority of certainly our common era culture in America, comedians have been able to get away with a lot of things because laughter generally is a very good disinfectant for ridiculousness. And humor generally finds itself eventually at the truth. And so taking comedy onto social media it can be done. It can be done easily, but you do have to know exactly what you're doing and be somewhat naturally gifted at it, because you also have to be aware of what's going on around you, especially whenever we have a national tragedy or something that happens that's just out of the blue, unplanned, unexpected. You happen to send that one reply that's just too close. This isn't so much well, I would argue they try to go for humor here, but one of the examples I use is there was the Florida nightclub shooting a few years back, and actually I think it was like that next week we were supposed to be doing chamber social media for it. And I woke up the morning that the nightclub shooting was ricocheting through the news, and Amazon right below an article talking about it in the morning, I see an ad from Amazon on Facebook that's advertising a cereal bowl that is a white bowl with red splotches all over the bowl, and in the bottom of the bowl it said serial killer. Bad timing.
Yeah.
Well, that was bad timing. I've searched my brain. I don't think anybody intentionally posted that. That's a perfect
It was
example
just
of
an ad that was already running, and
if you weren't looking at it within the context of the nightclub shooting or Uvalde or any other American tragedy involving this type of thing, it's not even that funny, but that's comedy. They're trying to go for that. And my point is that that's an example of number one, check your scheduled posts. And don't forget ads. But also you can miss the mark. So you have to be careful, because when you miss the mark, it can go bad. Use pop culture. So I did this one. It's not so much a tweet, as you can see. See, look, another platform, but it's Twitch. Sorry. So Twitch is a streaming service. It's owned by Amazon. It's widely considered the #1 streaming service in the world. It's largely used by gamers. So this is a marketing dive, a website that you can go and check out. Wendy's earned accolades for a campaign called Keeping Fortnite Fresh that featured an in-game demonstration of the evils of frozen beef. Apparently, Wendy's had an avatar created for this game, a very popular game, I won't go to explain it right now, who ignored other players instead of trying to knock them out of the game by shooting at them, and instead they went through the game's unpopulated cityscape, located the freezers, and destroyed them. So, basically, in this article goes on to say the campaign demonstrated how brands can adapt to the viewing habits of younger audiences who have shunned traditional media channels like television ads and radio ads and print even, in favor of playing games like Fortnite, right? I mean, if that's where your audience is, then go get it, right? So they took it off social media for a minute. They probably maintained that brand personality of fiery redhead roasting people, and they took it to Twitch with a very popular video. So somebody was getting paid to do all this. It's kind of fun. Interact with other brands. Hey, there's McDonald's.
This is my favorite.
This is so good. So McDonald's writes Black Friday, and then asterisk, need copy and link.
So somebody was totally making a placeholder and accidentally scheduled it instead of just saving it as like a draft.
I view this a different way. I personally think that McDonald's was doing this to be kitschy, to be aware, right? Like
Fair enough.
there's 1,000 million bajillion, that's a real number, posts going out today about Black Friday. There's nothing we can do to be top of the pile right now. So we're gonna be what is it? We're gonna be incredibly self-aware. By like insert joke here in brackets, like where something happens. So anyways, Wendy says when the tweets are as broken as the ice cream machine. Which again, who hasn't been to a McDonald's and try to order it.
Dude, there's a lawsuit about it now.
Yeah, actually,
I
there's
mean,
a,
this was in 17, but that just happened.
there's also a 45-minute documentary that I watched on YouTube. I encourage you to go just search on YouTube for broken ice cream machines. It's an actual thing, and there's a strategy behind it.
Wow.
I know, right? McDonald, today we announced that by mid-2018, all quarter pounder burgers at the majority of our restaurants will be cooked with fresh beef. That's a disconcerting announcement anyway, but Wendy's, never missing an opportunity. And by the way, this is back when you needed a little period here in order for it to be readable by anyone who wasn't also following McDonald's back in the day. That's why that's there. So you'll still use frozen beef in most of your burgers in all of your restaurants. Asking for a friend. So.
Dude, and you look, that was in March of 2017, and they're saying by mid-2018.
Yeah.
So like in over a year.
Fresh. And by the way, they don't say never frozen, they say fresh. Nice. But more importantly, 73,500 retweets, 182,000 likes. I mean, that's a good example. And that was back again in the beginning of this, right? The beginning of the strategy thing. I want to go on a date with Wendy's and take them to a real burger joint. Burger King. Burger King responds, treat her like the princess she deserves to be. Wendy's, if you're looking for a princess, you might want to let it go. Not interested in the frozen beef kingdom. So
again, that was a pop culture reference off of Frozen. Like that's when Frozen came out and was super big and popular.
Yeah.
So.
Interact with other brands. What is Subway good at? Underground transportation.
So funny.
So here's the thing: is Wendy's is fantastic with their strategy, right? Like Natalie said, they've got it on lock. They know what they're doing. But they're still like us. They're still trying to figure it all out, and they still have to deal with the third type of post that we're going to talk about, which you already saw. And that's quiet brand type posting. So you can see here several different complaints about orders that people have had, because they are still a fast food joint, people. We're sorry to hear this. Please send us a DM with a store location and your contact information. We're sorry to hear this. Please send us a DM. Oh, copy and paste responses, anybody? We're disappointed to hear this. Please DM us with details of your experiences.
Well, that's when I say, oh no.
Yeah, I get a little bit more energy there. Oh no. We'd love to make this up to you. Please provide the address of the restaurant and visit more. So, like, the thing is they're still a brand, right? This clearly, to me, shows that they either haven't discovered a good solution for people complaining on social media, right? Because, I mean, quite frankly, if you went on there and was like, I've been sitting in this line for hours, and they go on there and be like, sucks to be you. That's probably not great. Although I think that the internet in this day and age would just love that until it happened to them, right? But so clearly, they have a different strategy for people who are having a bad time. And I think it's also probably indicative of the fact that they've got a couple different social media teams now, right? I mean, if you think about these brands, like think about Delta. Go on to Delta's website. Delta is definitely not a website. They're any of their social. Delta is one of those airlines where if you go onto Twitter and you look at their responses and replies, they're probably going to have a message with a dash and then the person's name. So they probably have a group of people whose job it is to sit at a computer all day long and just track complaints online. And back to the platform question that was asked a while back, just because I think it's important to tie it in. Go ahead and take a look. If you want to complain to a brand, you go to Twitter, right? You can complain to your friends about a brand on Facebook. But if you want that brand to respond, the quickest way to get them to respond more often than not is going to be Twitter. There's less fences between you and the brand, right? With with other social media platforms, you might have to allow them to follow you, to DM you, or all that other stuff. So people generally go to complain at Twitter. So, anyways, they are just like us still.
That's what I'm looking, I'm like, because I'm never on Twitter, and any tweet I've ever done is gonna complain. Because I'm not on there, and that's how you get hold of people.
So there you go.
Nice, I take care of Twitter.
Politics, complaints, and yeah, weddings. So this was always going to be a relatively short presentation because ultimately what it's doing is laughing at Wendy's while hammering home things that we've talked about pretty nonstop for 7.5 years. And quite frankly, you guys really kind of knew that you should be doing these things when you walked in the room. Right? I hope that this at least inspires you to go take a look at Wendy's and other brands and see how they're engaging with their followers, how they've adopted and maintained a brand awareness, and continues to obviously encourage you to engage intelligently, not appropriately always, if that's your brand, but intelligently with followers. So, are there any questions right now? I will say there is actually post credits here, but we'll just go with questions.
Are you aware of any local business that in your opinion is doing social media right, or as close as to what you presented there?
It's a good question. I'm looking at you.
I mean, we don't have any local businesses that do it the same way as far as like the snark and the burn and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I think we have a handful that have their strategy and they know their voice and they use that voice. I like names.
That's a fantastic question. On the spot, it's really difficult to answer. At the risk of leaving someone out who later in the day I'm going to be like, that was them. I should have said them, or included them. I will say, and it's a little unfair of me, and quite frankly, like we've been married for 12 years, so I don't need to build up any rapport with her. I think that the library does do a good job with this. I think that they're aware of their brand. I think they take the time to respond to comments and they take the time to engage. Having said that, the library has, someone to do that full time. And a lot of local businesses around town, either that's the secondary job or that's not really something that we do constantly, right? It's something that we might do every now and then when Chamber Social Media Forum pops up. It's like someone leaves the room and they go, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna make a strategy. And then by the time the next one runs around, something happens. I mean, something's happening all the time. And so, in small businesses, it's difficult. Or if you have an agency, it can be difficult unless an agency is, and I'm not calling any agency out. I'm not talking about any of that right now. But what I am saying is it can be difficult for an agency to really create and then maintain your brand image for your business online because they're not in your boardroom. They're not in your office. They're not listening to the conversations. I've managed Facebook pages and other channels for brands. And I think one of the number one struggles that I had was I was just constantly asking for more content, right? What's going on? Because I'm not a member of their team. I'm team adjacent. I'm an ally, but so I think that's the thing. There are brands around here that I know they're gonna come to me later, but yeah.
We should maybe we can post it in the Facebook group, like some brands to follow. I just need to think about it.
I think the key takeaway here is the key takeaway here is that everyone could be doing better, right? And the library can be doing that. Everyone can be doing better. Perfectly, I know your comment was, your question was as close to as possible. It's difficult. It's also important to point out that Wendy's has just endless streams of opportunity, because how many, I don't know what the statistics are on this, but how many different people are tweeting Wendy's at any given time, whereas, it might be a week or two before a local business is mentioned. And when that happens, it very well may be that person that only tweets complaints mentioning them. And so it's one of those opportunities, unfortunately, we're sorry this happened, please let us know. Yes. Yeah. Does anybody here, I'll flip the question around. Does anyone here know of anybody that I'm not thinking of right now who does a really good job of consistently posting in brand and maintaining positive engagements with their commenters, their replies?
One that Arts Pest Control does a good job with their, they do a lot of humor kind of stuff. They're a good one. I'm trying to think of ones that I screenshot and send you. There's ones that I'm like, oh, that was a good one.
I can think of, well, I can
a local one who's not Jeff City, but local to where we are, Silver Dollar City. They killed the game, and they're a small department too. They only have 1 or 2 people, but they have decided what their brand voice is, and they've done a really good job with that. So they're ones I look at a lot of times for inspiration.
I sometimes kind of view Silver Dollar City as a friendlier and more wholesome Wendy's account. I think they absolutely have learned from Wendy's. And by the way, I'm pretty positive that when they came here and they presented on their strategies, because they did in this room for this event, I'm pretty sure that was recorded and put.
It was. It's on the Chamber's YouTube page.
So if you do go into the Chamber's YouTube page, I think it's also in the social media forum group on Facebook. You can find it.
Yeah,
and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. Good call.
That was almost worth doing a replay. We don't have to have him back. We'll just put it up on the screen and have him present again. It was good. Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Good question, because I never gave you a straight answer. Anything else? Checking the chat here.
People are leaving.
Okay.
So get to the next part. So
I haven't left yet. They haven't left yet. They're holding out. I know. All right. So, Wendy's. If you think that Wendy's goes hard, I'd like to introduce you to a brand called D-Brand, a company called D-Brand. Who's heard of D-Brand? Does anyone know? So what they sell is, so apparently Bass, $50 to whoever can get the biggest brand to reply to this tweet. They have to mention that you brought them here. Support Twitter accounts don't count. Nice try though. You got 48 hours. This guy, Otter Dude, at D-Brand, I've purchased your stuff. Can you help me out here? D-Brand, done. We'll take half. And here it comes. D-Brand, give Otter Dude his $50. You engagement farming. So if you think Wendy is savage, these people, they have, I would argue, a very savage brand, and they have no problem with vulgarity. They have no problem with being very adult, humorous. They're also huge, 2.5 million followers. They sell toxic electric tape. They sell phone covers and computer covers and video game console wraps. So what they sell is, I think that they worked at one point in time with 3M, and I think they developed their own tape after that. But what they developed is called what were called skins, right? So if you don't want to have a phone case, you can slap one of those on. D-Brand, it's not a product, it's a culture. And that's true. It's very, very true. They're very self-aware. And their people are ravenously loyal to them. And there are a lot of their people. So they're out of Toronto, so they're an international brand. But I did want to show you an example of a brand that has a corporate structure. They have investors. They have all the adult, organization structure and needs and budgets and all that stuff. And they act like that on Twitter, and they do it successfully. So, your homework, go waste your afternoon enjoying B brand's responses to people. And if someone's watching your computer screen, just stick with Wendy's.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the chance for Frosties.
Yeah.
Yes, hope everyone enjoyed them.
That was awesome.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever met a person that doesn't like the Wendy's.
So
They're good.
But now I'm gonna try the strawberry.
Yeah.
Gary had the strawberry, he said it's really good.
So real quick, I'm gonna go down, the presentation's over, everyone can walk away, it won't hurt my feelings. But that YouTube video I was telling you about, so you ready for this? Wendy's Frosty machines are the same machines that McDonald's uses to make their shakes.
Seriously?
How many times have you been to a Wendy's with the Frosty machines down? I've only been to one. And the reason behind it is because of the way they're